morning, welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live on news up at Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Y and beyond. We're also streaming live on Facebook at 3FM 927. Also on 3FM on Facebook. Follow us. And this evening here on Hot Edition, Parliament braces for a showdown as the MPP and the NDC lay claim to majority. Tonight, there are growing calls for cool heads to prevail. Leader of the Democracy Hub, Oliver Bakavomawa, has also been granted bail. We have details of that shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also, the PNC flag bearer, Bernard Mona, fails in his bid to overturn his disqualification by the Electoral Commission. Is this the end of the road regarding his presidential ambition? That's the question we put to his political party, the PNC. And also the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA questions planned sale of Newmont Achim gold mines to Chinese mining firm, urges Parliament to block the deal. Details of that, plus the latest as well on the fight against illegal mining, plus campaign trail here on your election command center. Remember, well, the next 1 hour 30 minutes, we're with you every step of the way with the latest in sport and business as well. I am Alfred Ocansey. Welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Safwa Boy is here with a summary of the news. Safwa?
Yeah, thank you very much, Alfred, and welcome to the news summary segment. Now to our first story. Public services across the country are set to suffer major disruptions as members of the Public Services Workers Union, which is PSWU, of the Trades Union Congress begin an indefinite strike today. Also, Parliament is set for a showdown, and that's a looming reality as both the MPP and the NDC maintain they are the majority caucus in the dying days of the 8th Parliament. And also, an Accra High Court has dismissed an application by the flag bearer of the People's National Convention, PNC, Bernard Mona, seeking to overturn a decision by the Electoral Commission to disqualify him. Mr. Mona went to court following the decision. My son was stabbed with a jackknife and not scissors, according to the post-mortem conducted on him. This was revealed by the father of the deceased in the Orelli Senior High School murder case, Emmanuel Saki, following his 5th appearance at the last circuit court over the trial. However, the case has been adjourned to November 4, awaiting advice from the Attorney General. Away from the flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has emphasized on broad-based inclusive development to set the country on sound footing. He was speaking during a meeting with the residents, chiefs and clergy of the Atimpoku in the North Tongue constituency. With 47 days to the general elections, John Mahama is piling pressure on the governing New Patriotic Party, NPP, to go on bended knees and apologize the Ghanaians over its small administration that has seen the aged and retired desperately begging for their locked up funds as a result of the debt restructuring. And onto our last story. Some teachers recruited between 2012 and 2015 are demanding for the payment of their legacy arrears. The affected teachers are concerned about the government's failure to honor its promise to pay their entitlements despite numerous assurances. And this brings us to the end of our news summary segment, and over to you, Alfred.
Safwa Boaheng, thank you so much. A summary of the news, so live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's get into the details of the stories now. And Parliament braces for a dramatic showdown tomorrow as the NPP and the NDC clash over who holds the majority in this 8th Parliament, with tensions mounting and a possible repeat of past chaos that's characterized the life of this 8th Parliament. All eyes are on what could be a defining moment in Ghana's democratic history. My colleague Noble Crosby Annan has more in this report.
Ghana stands at the precipice of a constitutional crisis as the battle for parliamentary supremacy between the NPP and the NDC takes a dramatic twist. With the stakes higher than ever, both sides logged in at dead heat. They're preparing for a showdown. and it's anyone's guess how this standoff will end. The spectre of the chaos looms large, reminiscent of unprecedented scenes during the election of Speaker Alban Gbagbe at the start of the 8th Parliament, where fists flew in a chamber meant for debate. The flashpoint: Speaker Alban Gbagbe's decision to declare 4 seats vacant, shifting the balance of power to the NDC with a slim 136 to 135 majority. But the NPP leadership wasn't about to concede quietly, swiftly challenging the ruling in the Supreme Court. The court issued an ex parte order freezing the Speaker's declaration and maintaining the status quo. As the clock ticks towards a defining moment, both sides remain entrenched. The NPP caucus, led by a less than opinion marking, insists they remain the rightful majority.
The rights of those MPs have been reinforced. This is the majority leader speaking.
Government spokesperson on governance and security, Palgrave Wachidankwa, echoes the sentiment.
What would take place on Tuesday is that the majority in Parliament, led by the majority leader, the Honorable Afenyo Makin, will lead the side of the House to sit at the majority side, whilst the minority, led by Atoforsen, will sit at the minority side.
On the opposing end, the NDC caucus remains defiant. For them, the Speaker's ruling is sacrosanct and they are the legitimate majority.
The NDC now constitute the majority caucus in this 8th Parliament. We will jealously protect our new majority status and will not bow, retreat, nor surrender our lawfully earned status.
Tensions are running high, and NDC Chief Whip Kwame Agbodza is not ruling out a repeat of the chaos that marred January 7, when the military invasion of Parliament shocked the nation. Agbodza vows such an intrusion would be fiercely resisted this time around.
We are aware that between yesterday and today, some elements of government have had a meeting again to deploy the military to the precincts of Parliament to enter the tent. The people of this country would react forcefully to any misconduct of anybody in uniform on Tuesday.
So, what can we expect as Parliament reconvenes on Tuesday? Will cooler heads prevail? Will the NDC relenting and returning to the minority side of the aisle? Or will Ghana's democracy be tested once again by a dramatic, perhaps violent confrontation on the floor? The question of who sits where hangs in the air. And with each passing moment, the odds of compromise seem to grow ever slimmer. One thing is certain, the entire nation will be watching what could be one of the most consequential days in Ghana's recent democratic history.
Noble Crosby, and just giving a clear indication of what to expect tomorrow, a defining moment in our democratic journey indeed. And this at this point that I bring in Professor Bafo Adjumani, respected international governance expert and also former senior advisor on governance to the United Nations. Professor Bafo Adjumani, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening. Thanks for having me, Alfred.
Now, you've seen how things have unfolded right from last week, Tuesday, throughout the week up until Friday, when the Supreme Court, through this ex parte motion, directed that Parliament cannot or should not execute the directives as communicated by the Speaker in his decision that was also communicated the day before, that was on Thursday. The MPP has asserted that they indeed are the majority in this 8th Parliament. The NDC addressed a press conference yesterday indicating that per the Speaker's ruling, they are the majority in this Parliament that we have it.
Warning.
Tomorrow certainly doesn't look good. How should this issue be addressed so that we cannot actually find ourselves in a democracy in jeopardy?
Frankly, tomorrow can be a very decisive moment for us in the 32 years of Republic that is based on the kinds of statements and words being used by the two major political parties. Of course, in a democracy, whenever there's going to be a confrontation between or among the three legs or government, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature, citizens will have to sit up and pray that the confrontation will be peaceful and the outcome will be satisfying for all stakeholders. I think, you see, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't want to go into the legalities of these arguments. I've heard it from many lawyers, and just as when you talk to, we bring 10 economists around and pose one economic question, we are most likely to get 10 different. So lawyers are speaking from their own perspectives. But after all is said and done, what the Constitution provides for in terms of legalities is the Supreme Court, is the final call. When the Supreme Court decides or rules, that becomes the law of the land. So I'm just hoping that cool heads will prevail, and that between now and tomorrow before the convening of Parliament, the wise people of this country, especially the political actors, will see reason to find a way to reach some kind of compromise. I don't think we need to repeat what you just said, that at the solution of this Parliament, there was some problem and soldiers had to come in, and we all know what that resulted in. Nobody wants a repeat of that. And also it's important for us to recognize that the ultimate objective of governance in any decent democracy is not a fight between two of the three legs or arms of government, but sensible people coming together to find a way to save everybody's face and in compromise. That, for me, is the best thing we do. But of course, I recognize that the democracy we have crafted for ourselves is typically of the Western model, which is adversarial. And it happens that two parties are vying for power. And the intensity of the fight is quite obvious. But I think if these leaders recognize that, look, we have about 4 weeks or so to go for elections and the possible change of government or not, they will see that this fight will not be a useful fight. Also, the idea that we are hearing that if the minority becomes the majority, they will initiate some legislation and reverse the e-levy and other kinds of legislation that we talk about. But the fact is, look, the reality is, even if Parliament passes a bill, it's never a law until the executive signs it, which means they will need the cooperation of the executive to make it a law. And under the circumstance, I do not see how Parliament can decide on something for it to become the law. They do not enforce laws. Parliament only makes laws. They don't even interpret laws. So I know I have certain issues with the discussions and where you want to drive all of it. But for me, what is important for this country is how we can maintain our peace and hopefully work for the well-being of the people. And I'm hoping that a few people do not hijack the peace of this country only because they are seeking power. I don't know, either side. I'm talking about either side. So I think they should put the supreme interest of Ghanaians above everything else and hopefully find a solution before meeting tomorrow in order to avoid any unpleasant scenes. We don't need that in the country now.
It's an important point that you make about, wise people stepping in to intervene to ensure that some cool heads prevail. There are some who have called in the Council of State at this moment, even though they have not been called upon, it is their mandate as well to be able to step in and offer the kind of advice and the wise counsel to ensure cool heads prevail. Is it one that you align with, that the Council of State should have been called upon by now or should have been seen acting by now?
Well, like almost everything else in the country, the Council of State is not trusted because members, perhaps majority of them are nominated by the president. And the whole idea of presidents and appointing and nominating is not part of the problem. Like even with the judges, today we listen to commentary. People are lambasting the judiciary because most of them are saying these were planted there by the president. Somebody is even saying that he believes that the judges don't have the knowledge to be on the bench. You see the extent to which we are vilifying institutions of governance. But whether they are qualified or not, the fact is that they are there. So coming back to your original, who should intervene? My prayer is that at least there are some respectable members of the Council of State who can convene, who can approach, who will be accepted by both parties to make that intervention possible and successful. Other than that, I believe there are some other respectable citizens who don't make noise much, but perhaps who are convening authority to summon or to approach or to invite such individuals to come and sit around. And you see, Alfred, truly, one of the problems we have in our country is to have adopted a democratic practice that is not in consonance with our culture. If you observe how some of our chiefs settle matters, you know that these things don't happen. But we have adopted a practice that is just like the Western democratic model, and we are not obliged to repeat that. Because in cases like this, there must be a way, because our values are not the same as the white people who are adversarial. You see? So even when I'm talking about constitutional review, it's not just the other thing people mention. There are certain cultural values that we should have imbued in the way we practice it. So in a case like this, there will be a resolution according to how our elders used to do. Okay? This may be by the side. But the point I'm making is that I'm praying there are some respectable individuals who can intervene, be accepted by both sides. Because, you know, there are certain people, if you say they are going to intervene, one side will say, no, I don't like him because he was appointed by the president or he's not with us. And that political divide is infesting everything that we do as a people. And that in itself is a problem. So I'm just hoping that in this situation, there must be individuals or institutions that can approach all the sides this evening to make sure that tomorrow when they come, they all smile together that, look, this is one country. This I want to build it. There was a misunderstanding. We don't need this to explode in our faces. So please, let's get together and let this country be. If somebody can do that, I think all the better for us.
Professor Bafo-Adjumandua, as always, I do appreciate your expertise on this matter. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Professor Bafo-Adjumandua is a governance expert and a former advisor on governance to the United Nations. Joining us there already, some NDC MPs are alleging their plans to deploy the military to Parliament to call their side to submission. Now, this allegation is fueling some tension ahead of tomorrow. And the likes of James Agagas, Member of Parliament for the Bosa North constituency, were working on their phones to get through to him shortly. But together with Governor Kwame Agbodza yesterday, when they addressed the press, they had clearly indicated that they had picked up some intelligence. There are some elements within government that have had a meeting with some persons within the military to deploy military personnel to disrupt the sitting tomorrow. Now, this is one that we'll keep an eye on as well and be updating you here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. But we're getting information that the Speaker of Parliament, in fact, the Legal Department of Parliament has been now served with the directives from the Supreme Court through that ex parte motion on Friday. Today, the Legal Department of Parliament has been served. But what does all of this mean? Is Parliament really bound by this? Even after this development, Kweku Ansah-Sarri is a former director of the Ghana School of Law. He's been indicating that the Supreme Court's jurisdiction was wrongly invoked in this particular case.
Nothing has been said so far about whether or not the Attorney General, the second respondent, was served. Now, the usual practice is that where an application is brought ex parte and the respondents are not before the court will either have to adjourn or grant the application for a maximum number of 10 days and direct the applicant to bring the respondents by notice. So the applicant, the Honorable Alfred Martin, would have taken steps to serve the Speaker and the Attorney General properly. That was not done. And therefore, the procedural lapses render the Supreme Court proceedings a nullity. Now, a more fundamental constitutional point arises. Can the Supreme Court impugn a decision of Parliament that was taken in the usual course of parliamentary business? The answer is no. The Supreme Court has no such power. What the Supreme Court did yesterday amounted to provocation of Parliament. It provoked Parliament. Now, Parliament under Article 122 has contempt powers. Just as the Superior Court of Judicature also have contempt powers. Now, what the 5 justices did yesterday amounted to contempt of court. And Parliament can hold them before the court. So what the Supreme Court did yesterday was needless. It has created a situation of constitutional lawlessness, which is in nobody's interest. The Speaker can refuse to comply with the directive. And in any case, the directive to Parliament that they should recognize and allow is amorphous. It's meaningless. Directing Parliament to recognize the Supreme Court has no business directing Parliament as to what to do. Under Article 110, Parliament can have the sole authority to regulate its internal procedures. Then the question arises as to whether the Supreme Court can enforce its decisions and others. They cannot be enforced. The ruling of the Speaker did not contain any executable order. And therefore, what the Supreme Court did yesterday was trying to find a solution in search of a problem. There was no problem before them. And yet, they nakedly usurped the constitutional rule of Parliament. To me, that was unfortunate. So, my take on the matter, what the Supreme Court ought to have done yesterday, realizing that the Honorable Alfred Martin as applicant insisted that please, we are here for a maximum 10-day statutory period, no more, no less. The wisdom of the justices of the Supreme Court, you have none of that. And it is an unlimited. And the young lawyer was led by a former Attorney General, the Honorable Judiciary.
Yes.
And therefore, if the Honorable Judiciary, in his wisdom, tries to situate the issue in context, the Supreme Court justices ought to have listened to them. What they did yesterday was crying beyond the owner of the court. That's what they did yesterday. And therefore, we are heading towards a constitutional showdown when Parliament resumes. And it's needless. At this critical moment, none of the bodies ought to do this sort of thing. And we have a preponderance of authorities in this country indicating that if Parliament does any business, Parliament transacts any business within the confines, of its constitutional mandate, the Judiciary, the Supreme Court has no business in the message. That's exactly what it is. As far as I'm concerned, the Supreme Court ruling yesterday amounts to a nullity. It cannot be enforced. It has rather created more problems for the country. Either Parliament calls them for contempt of Parliament, or they should simply refuse to comply with the order, which is a nullity, because once it is a nullity, any directive or decision or orders emanating therefrom is also consequentially null and void. So whatever happened yesterday is null and void. The directive is null and void. Proceedings null and void. So the status quo, as at the time the application was filed, remains.
As Ansari is a former director of the Ghana School of Law, there also sharing his thoughts about the happenings between the Supreme Court and also Parliament, and essentially the Speaker's decision as was communicated Thursday. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. And the leader of the NPP caucus in Parliament, Alexander Fenyomakin, has assured the public that his side will not engage in any form of physical altercations during the upcoming parliamentary session on Tuesday, October 22. He made these remarks during a conversation with the media in response to threats from the opposition NDC MPs to occupy the majority side in Parliament. Fenyomakin emphasized that the NPP MPs are not inclined towards violence and would rather stage a walkout if the NDC MPs attempt to engage them in fisticuffs or forcibly take over their seats. And he reiterated the NPP caucus's commitment to maintaining peace and decorum in the House. This development follows threats by the NDC MPs to assess themselves as the new majority caucus in Parliament, following the Speaker Alban Bagman's declaration of 4 parliamentary seats as vacant. However, the Supreme Court has stayed the Speaker's ruling, allowing the 4 affected MPs to continue representing their constituents. So that's the development there, and we'll keep an eye on how things play out tomorrow. Live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's still stay a bit further on some issues here on Hot Edition. And with the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, they've questioned the planned sale of Newmont's Achim gold mines to China's Zijin Mining Group for $1 billion. According to the think tank, the sale undermines Ghana's economic interests and violates some key terms of the mine's lease agreement set to expire in January 2025. In a statement issued today, the Institute of Economic Affairs argued that the original lease agreement requires government approval for any transfer of ownership, and there is no record of such approval. It says if any such sale should happen at all, Ghanaian investors should be prioritized over foreigners, in line with the President Kufuor's previous statement on keeping mineral wealth in local hands. The IEA wants the sale blocked while urging Parliament to reject the deal outrightly. Dr. John Kwachi is the Director of Research and Acting Executive Director of the Institute for Economic Affairs, IEA. Dr. John Kwachi, appreciate your time. Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Now, you're calling on Parliament on this rather controversial deal between Ghana and essentially the Chinese mining firm Zijin Mining Group. What exactly is Parliament going to do, or what do you expect of Parliament in this instance?
Well, okay, thank you so much. Well, we also picked up the information about the sale or impending sale of the Achim, gold mine, Newmont's Achim gold mine, to this Chinese company. So we got a copy of the agreement, the lease that was signed between government and Newmont. This was in 2015, I believe, or 2010. 2010, I believe. And it's for a 15-year lease. So it's supposed to expire in January 2025. Okay. Then we hear that Newmont is about to sell it
to Xinjiang of China. So we take the agreement, we read it, and then we see that, well, there's a provision for Newmont to transfer it within the lease period, but with government agreement, mutual agreement. After the lease period also, Newmont could ask for extension, again, with the agreement of government. As far as we are concerned, I mean, we are aware, none of these, transactions has taken place, or agreement actually has taken place, either to transfer it or to extend the lease. Then we hear that we are selling it to another company. So that's why we are raising issues like, well, we think it is a breach of the lease as we read it, and therefore, if it comes before Parliament, they should not go ahead to ratify it. And we also, as you rightly mentioned, we made the point that if even there is any agreement for Newmont to sell the mine, they should sell it to Ghanaian investors, because the president himself, in his State of the Nation address in February, pledged that, referred to this Newmont mine and pledged that if it was going to be sold, he will ensure that it is sold to Ghanaian investors so that the benefit, the wealth, remains in this country. This was in February. And then we are in October, and then we hear that it's being sold to, Chinese investors. So naturally, IEA, we have raised our concerns, and we are asking Parliament, not to ratify the agreement in its current form.
I see a part of your statement that you make the point strongly that allowing Xinjiang, this Chinese mining company, to buy the mine for $1 billion, which would accrue to Newmont, and presumably allowing Xinjiang to pay only royalties and taxes to Ghana, would substantially shortchange the country? It will shortchange us as a country, correct?
Yes, certainly. And, as IEA, we have been championing the fact that Ghana should take greater ownership of its mineral resources. This is something that we have been campaigning for a very long time. Okay? There is this lithium agreement that was signed, recently with Atlantic Lithium. We are also going to make a statement on that as well. So the point we are making is that, these lease agreements, which are normally written in the form of concessions. This colonial type of agreements, normally we give our minerals in the form of concessions to foreign companies. And then we just benefit from royalties and taxes. And if you put it together, in terms of the output or the proceeds, you will see that the foreign companies are benefiting, receiving something like 85% of the output, and then we receive just about 15%. And we are saying that, we should stop this. Look, if you look at our history, the white man came to, us, in colonial times, and took away a lot of our wealth. Okay? Now we gain independence, and then the same process is continuing. In other words, they come back here as foreign investors, then we let them take, 85% of our wealth, and then give us 15%. And then we remain poor. And then we go back to them in the foreign capitals, the foreign companies, their capitals, and we go begging for aid. Why do we do this thing to ourselves? So we are saying that enough is enough. We should stop this. And then I hope we will come to that, because we have made two substantive recommendations at the end of the statement. And this is about amending our constitution.
In fact, that was going to be my next question, so please,
because maybe you should go ahead and ask that question.
Indeed, because that proposal that you make of the amending of Article 2576 of the 1992 Constitution, we currently vest control of Ghana's natural resources in the president. Now, why do you want that amended?
That provision, I'm not a lawyer, but
we have lawyers with us. In fact, the former Chief Justice, Ore Akufo is with us. And it looks like that...
You mean Sophia Akufo? Yes.
Sophia Akufo, sorry. Sophia Akufo. It's so open-ended. And our presidents take advantage of it. It says that our natural resources, are vested in the president, and he holds it on behalf of Ghanaians. So somehow our president interprets that to mean that they can sign it away to foreign companies at will. No, that's how they interpret it. Then we should stop that. And we are saying that we should rather amend the provision such that we invest the mineral resources in the state, not the president, so that no single person can just sign it away to give to foreign companies at will. Secondly, we also make the point that, and I hope we'll get to that. There's another recommendation that I think we should prohibit our governments or even the president from signing major contracts, not only with respect to minerals, but in fact major contract projects and so on. 6 months to the end of their 4-year term, they shouldn't sign any major contracts. And we can put a money value on it and say that maybe contracts that are worth more than $1 million. I'm just from the top of my head, $1 million or something. They should never sign it, because we have had instances where previous presidents, at the last minute, 11th hour, even sometimes when after the elections, when they have lost the election, then they will sign a contract to give away, a major part of our wealth, to their cronies, to their friends, relations, and cronies. We should also stop that.
Dr. John Kwachi, appreciate your time on this matter. I thank you so much, and we'll see how the coming days will look like. So you're going to, have you written to Parliament officially, petitioning them on this?
We are sending a memo to the Speaker as usual. That's what we normally do.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Dr. John Kwachi is the Director of Research at the Institute for Economic Affairs, IEA, strongly opposing the planned sale of Newmont's Achim gold mines to China's Xinjiang Mining Group for $1 billion. The IEA is arguing that the sale undermines Ghana's economic interest and violates key terms of the mine's lease agreement set to expire in January 2025. We'll keep an eye on that, and also I'll see how things play out live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Barely 24 hours after he was reported to have been assaulted while in police custody, Democratic Hub convener Oliver Bakavomao has been released. The activist, in the company of family and other protesters at the Accra High Court, met his bail conditions, 20,000 cedis, earlier today. Lord Edwasari, court correspondent, observed the development. He's joining me in studio now, and clearly in a happy mood, you would say, as you would have all persons who meet in bail conditions would express. But he had been in custody, even though he was granted bail sometime last week.
Indeed.
Did you see any signs of the assaults that the police agreed to, that there was some scuffle between him and some personnel of police service that led to some scratches on his hand?
Well, it was actually quite hard to tell. So I kept observing Oliver's hands whilst he spoke. I remember while he was speaking to us, he unfolded his sleeves and was actually showing his arm, but it was quite difficult to see exactly what the issue was. As far as his arms were concerned, I did not see the scratches that the police were referring to. However, I've been following Oliver for a while now, since his treason felony charge at Ashaiman. And he is someone who is actually full of energy, right? Regardless of what happens. But today, despite the fact that he was in the midst of family and other Democracy Hub protesters, he seemed a bit down. And you know the phase where you are, that when you are speaking, like you want to cry. like there's something stuck in your throat, so to speak. That's exactly how Oliver sounded today. They chanted for a while, sang some nationalistic songs, but then he himself, while he spoke, his demeanor was rather calm and quite emotional, I should say, Alfred.
I see. And let's hear from his mother, who was there as well with him, right?
Yeah.
I thank God that my son has been released for me today. No woman would be happy if their child is facing difficulties. What he did was not a bad thing. He was just being a good citizen of Ghana. I am not able to sleep when I go to bed. Today, for instance, I was awake by 1 a.m. so I can get here on time. I thank God that my son has been released.
Full of praise in them. And how about the other protesters who were with him as well when he was released today?
Well, they were rather elated. I saw Ralph, there was another Niai, and then some other ladies who were all arrested with him. But as you would know, right now, all 54 protesters are currently on bail. So they were around him, very happy that Oliver is finally on bail, chatting together with the other family members and all that. They were even making some snide comments at the police, saying that they thought they were going to take Oliver back to police custody, but that's not the case, and so they're very excited. Oliver himself spoke to us. He said that the work is not done. He was actually asking for more solidarity from the public because there's more work ahead.
Where we are going, we know we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It will be hard, we know, that the road will be muddy and rough. But we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. Hey! 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 Oliver, say yeah!
So these were the protesters chanting these songs with him.
Yes, when Oliver was finally out.
Any clear indication of what they're going to be doing? Because obviously they would have spoken to the media and you're journalists at the court there. An indication of what they're going to be doing beginning, after today.
You mean the protesters or the court?
That's the protesters after the release of Oliver. Because I know that Ralph, even though he met the bail condition, decided to stay in solidarity with Oliver.
Yes.
And now they're out.
Then they've been declared the hunger strike and all that. But in conversing with the other protesters, they did indicate that Oliver's just going to take this night off, and then from tomorrow they're going to gather around, and then they are going to move forward with whatever their plans are as far as protesting the Galamsey is concerned and other matters that they've been fighting for. I saw the freedom fighter also in court in solidarity with him as well. Yeah.
We'll see how things play out. Thank you so much. Claude Edwasari is our legal affairs correspondent joining us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. A number of you sharing your thoughts with us. Some teachers recruited between 2012 and 2015 are demanding for the payment of their legacy arrears. The affected teachers are concerned about the government's failure to honor its promise to pay their entitlements despite numerous assurances. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti regional correspondent. He's been following the story quite closely. He's joining us on the telephone. Ibrahim, exactly what are these teachers demanding?
Well, they are demanding for three things. One, full payment of the legacy arrears, and also a clear timeline for the payments. And also the third one is ensuring that all affected members receive what is due them. In fact, they are saying that the then candidate, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in 2015 or 2016 promised to pay all those legacy debts which spans between 2012 to 2015. Now, when he assumed power, they didn't pay. But in 2020, some payment was done. But that payment was rather for teachers who were recruited between 2016 and 2019. So the 2012-2015 were still not being paid. And they said over the years, they have had series of meetings with the Director General of Ghana Education Service, the government, and whoever matters. And they have consistently been given assurance that they will be giving the money. But as we speak, they've not seen anything positive that shows that they will get the money. So this time around, they are also coming out once again to demand for the money. They said this is not the money that the government is dashing out to them, but it is their sweat because they've worked for it, and for that matter, they deserve to be paid that money. And they've given two actions that they will be taking should government fails to give them that money by the end of this month. One, they will embark on a demonstration, after which they will picket at the Jubilee House until their monies are paid them.
I see, and this group of teachers are made up of teachers recruited between which year and which year exactly?
This is teachers recruited between 2012 and 2015. But then they said even those between 2012, 2013, 2014, some of them were given that legacy arrears. But a majority of them have still not been given that money. But for those who were recruited in 2015, they said when they went to meet the Director General of GS, they were told that their data does not exist in their system. So it means that all those who were recruited in 2015, even should government decide to pay the money, they will still be left out. And this is something that they want government to rectify, make sure that they are back in the system so that in an event government decides to pay the money, all of them will benefit from their sweat.
And indeed, I've heard some of them also speak to you earlier in suggesting that they were going to also lay down their tools if nothing is done about this. Have they given any timelines for this?
So exactly. So they were not straightforward, but they have to lay down their tools if indeed they will have to boycott or picket the Jubilee House so their monies are released. So they said after this month, if they do not hear anything concrete from the government, then one, they will embark on a demonstration, after which if they still do not hear anything, then they will picket the seat of government, that's the Jubilee House. It means that for the number of days they will spend there, they will not go to their various classrooms and teach. And they are saying when they move there, they are moving there with their mattresses, with their pillows, and they are not living there until government pays them, and this time around pays them in full.
Ibrahim, thank you very much for the updates there. Ibrahim Abubakar is Ashanti Regional Correspondent. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. Also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. We're going to go for this quick break. When we're back, the business news is up next. Stay with us. The most comprehensive election coverage.
Top-notch presenters and well-versed analysts.
Dedicated reporters and correspondents in every nook and cranny across the country.
All the action, every incident reported. All the big stories covered.
All facts cross-checked. Every figure verified.
Every vote monitored and accounted for.
The numbers tallied, analyzed, and interpreted.
We have invested time and energy in order to bring you a comprehensive elections coverage.
The whole world will be watching us on TV, online, and radio.
Election Command Center. Facts, analysis, results.
Drink and Music Festival is returning this October. The Eat, Drink, Music Festival is back. Let's go! Get ready for 2 unforgettable days filled with the best food and drink vendors, top DJs, and amazing musicians. Join us for an experience like no other, featuring world-class performances, a variety of local and continental foods, drinks, and fun activities. Oh, yeah. Location, Good Park, Accra Mall. Dates, 26th and 27th October, 2024. Time, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Get your tickets now on all networks by dialing *714*500#. For more information, visit www.eatdrinkmusicfestival.com. Eat Drink Music Festival, the ultimate festival experience.
Imagine a place where voices matter, where every corner, every street, every community is a platform.
A big bus moving through Accra, carrying conversations, questions, and the pulse of the nation. This is not just another show, it's your voice on the move.
Join us as 3FM Sunrise hits the road, turning ordinary streets into platforms for extraordinary dialogue. Speak freely, listen deeply, and help shape the conversation that drives Ghana forward.
Look out for the bus and tune in exclusively on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck Ausa. Coming up tonight, the Institute for Economic Affairs, IEA, vehemently opposes the proposed sale of the Achim Gold Mine project in Ghana by Newmont Company to China's Zijin Mining Group. We'll bring you details. Thanks for your company. Now to our story. The Institute for Economic Affairs, IEA, has vehemently opposed the proposed sale of the Achim Gold Mine project in Ghana by Newmont Company to China's Zijin Mining Group. The IEA argues that the deal is riddled with flaws, detrimental to Ghana's interests, and unacceptable. The following Newsday's report has more. The IEA contends that the lease for the Achim Gold Mine project remains valid until January 2025, and any transfer of ownership requires the approval of the Ghanaian government. The Institute also criticizes the terms of the original lease agreement, stating that it is heavily biased in favor of Newmont and offers little benefit to Ghana. The IEA notes that several Ghanaian entities bid for the mine, but were allegedly outbid by Zijin. The Institute further argues that the proposed sale would significantly undervalue the Achim Gold Mine, as the annual average yields are estimated to be substantially higher than the proposed sale price. Using the reported annual average production of 11.4 tons of gold, equivalent to 402,123 ounces, and an average world market price of $2,600 per ounce, the IEA projects annual average yields of $1.05 billion. This amount would accrue to prospective Ghanaian owners and the country annually, allowing Zijin to acquire the mine for $1 billion, which would benefit Newmont, while Zijin would presumably only pay royalties and taxes to Ghana would significantly shortchange the country. According to the IEA, the deal is not in the economic best interest of the country and should be rejected. Finally, the IEA proposes amendments to the Constitution and Minerals and Mining Act to enhance the governance of the country's natural resources and reduce corruption. And that was the 3 Business News Desk report. Moving on, the wife of Ghana's Vice President, Samira Bawumia, has launched the National Child Online Protection Framework in Accra to protect children across the country from cybersecurity threats such as cyberbullying and online abuse as well. This was developed by the Cybersecurity Authority in alignment with the initiatives of the International Telecommunications Union, ITU, and the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF. The Global Online Safety Survey, conducted by Microsoft, reveals that 49% of teenagers worldwide experience medium to severe negative online encounters, such as cyberbullying, harassment, and abuse. Wife of the Vice President, Samira Bawumia, has observed, online protection framework is important considering the increasing cybersecurity threats.
We will foster collaboration between government, industry, civil society, and international partners to build a united front against the threats our children face online.
Director General of the CSA, Dr. Albert Entry-Boesiako, in an interview, warned of strict sanctions against culprits, including 7 jail terms.
Soliciting intimate images or videos of children and using that to blackmail them is also an offense under the sextortion principle. Perpetrators can go to jail, in some cases a minimum of about 2 years, but it can be as long as 10 years.
Meanwhile, the CSA held the grand finale of the 2024 National Cybersecurity Challenge under the theme Empowering Young Minds, Creating Opportunities, Promoting a Safer Digital Ghana. The contest saw St. Peter's Senior High School emerge overall winners. Now, before we go, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority says it is committed to supporting innovation in the coconut sector by providing platforms for capacity building, research, and technological advancement. In her keynote address at the 2024 Ghana Coconut Festival in Accra, Chief Executive Osafo Hene Dr. Ifya Isebia Asari I stressed the move aims to ensure that Ghanaian coconut products remain competitive and sustainable globally.
In 2017, Ghana Export Promotion Authority launched the Coconut Revitalization Intervention with a clear objective of reviving the then ailing coconut industry to improve the supply capacity of the value chain, having realized the growing demand trend for coconuts globally. GEPA has made a modest but quite significant investment in the sector since 2017 by procuring and distributing disease-tolerant coconut seedlings to coconut farmers across the major coconut growing regions of the Volta, the Eastern, Western, Central, and Ashanti regions. So far, we have distributed over 1 million seedlings covering 15,625 acres, generating about 350,000 employment within the coconut value chain.
And that was Chief Executive of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, GEPA, Osafo Hene Dr. Ifua Asabia Asari I, ending business segment on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please log on to 3news.com. Thanks for your company. Sports is next. Stay new.
Festival is returning this October. The Eat Drink Music Festival is back. Let's go! Get ready for 2 unforgettable days filled with the best food and drink vendors, top DJs, and amazing musicians. Join us for an experience like no other, featuring world-class performances, a variety of local and continental foods, drinks, and fun activities. Oh, yeah. Location, Good Park, Accra Mall. Dates, 26th and 27th October 2024. Time, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Get your tickets now on all networks by dialing *714 *500# For more information, visit www.eatdrinkmusicfestival.com. Eat Drink Music Festival, the ultimate festival experience.
Imagine a place where voices matter, where every corner, every street, every community is a platform.
A big bus moving through Accra, carrying conversations, questions, and the pulse of the nation. This is not just another show, it's your voice on the move.
Join us as 3FM Sunrise hits the road, turning ordinary streets into platforms for extraordinary dialogue. Speak freely, listen deeply, and help shape the conversation that drives Ghana forward.
Look out for the bus and tune in exclusively on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Lishan. Now on to our first story. In Beach Soccer AFCON 2024, Ghana has exited after losing by 5-2 against Morocco. Remember, they lost by 6-3 against Egypt in their first game, and now they've lost their second game, and so they are out officially of the Beach Soccer AFCON. Now in the local scene in the Ghana Premier League, Asante Kotoko are still fighting strong after defeating Samatex by 1-0 at the Obuasi and Clay Sports Stadium on Sunday. Here's a reaction from head coach of the side, Prosper Nati Ogum.
So I think on the goal scoring, today if you comparatively look at the shot on target, I think it was more than the previous games. So now that the shots are hitting the target and the goalkeepers are saving them, gradually with time they will find the back of the net. So it's a gradual process. Maybe at first we were creating, they were not even hitting the target. Now we are creating and they are hitting the target. So definitely confidence will go very high up.
That was Dr. Prosper Nati Ogum, the head coach of Asante Kotoko. Also, for Ghana players abroad, a lot of Ghanaians actually made some impact. Iñaki Williams scored the brace for Athletic Bilbao. Jordan Ayew scored a last-minute goal for Leicester City. Abdul Fattah Isahaku got an assist. Mohamed Kudus also scored. Ibrahim Osman also scored. Gideon Mensah got an assist. And so the conversation has been, why are they not performing as well with the Black Stars? Ori Kwampofo has the answer.
And I think this weekend was a very good reminder that we have quality. I hear talk about passion and commitment. And I ask anybody who says that, you sitting at home, do you think you want to watch Ghana at an AFCON more than Kudus wants to play at an AFCON? Or Iñaki Williams? Look, do you think Iñaki didn't see what Nico did for Spain and doesn't want to replicate our Ghana? Do you know the immense... Look, forget about club football. Look at Messi. Where did he get his biggest joy? What didn't Messi win with Barcelona? Your biggest joy as a player comes from your national pride. And there's no play... Look, even whenever you speak to any player, you ask them of their idol, they would mention a Ghanaian player first. These guys grew up watching the national team and want to play in the... It is never a question of passion. Everyone understands the privilege that they have.
Yeah.
To represent this big country is no joke.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is passion and commitment. Look, if that's the same case, then what would you say about Messi before Copa America came in 2021?
Yeah. That was a real couple for talking about the passion of Black Stars players. He also added that if the system isn't good, they will not perform.
Coaches outside there understand the strength of their players, and then they bring the most out of them by through this understanding. Here, it's almost like you just put everything together. The same, look, the greatest player of all time, Lionel Messi, was struggling in Argentina. It's not because he wasn't good, because the system wasn't good. And you see, no matter how good you are, no matter how good, if Messi could not survive a system, Kudus cannot. Nobody in this world of football can survive any system that's not good. So till we find a way that we bring the best out of our players, the situation there, to me, to continue happening.
The situation will continue happening according to Oreku Ampofo. Before we do go, some news coming in tennis. In the women's division, Iga Swiatek has lost her number one spot to Aryna Sabalenka. Yes, so Aryna Sabalenka is officially now the world number one in tennis, ahead of Iga Swiatek, who has been dominating on the clay courts. And that brings an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen. Alfred and the rest of the team on standby with more.
It's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, or live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Keep your thoughts coming through at 3FM 927, also on Facebook and also on X. You can join us with your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions here on 3FM 927. Let's go into some more stories as some teachers who have been recruited between 2012 and 2015 are up in arms demanding their due, and that leads us to matters arising here on your election command center on Campaign Trail. President and flag bearer of the NPP, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has inaugurated the second phase of a 75 kilowatts micro hydro plant at Chachadu power generation station at Alavanyo in the Hohoi municipality of the Volta region. The second phase adds up to an earlier 45 kilowatts plant inaugurated by President Kufuor, thereby making a total of 120 kilowatts generated capacity of power. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia stressed government's commitment to adding 2,000 megawatts solar power to the national grid.
Some specialty sector that the current government hospital could offer to support the Agenda 111 hospital. So I think it will be a mistake if we just say no, we don't need it. We need it.
Green Power Authority is very determined to be the renewable energy.
Some specialty, we've also mentioned, we've established other policies like the Zongo Development Fund. And we've done a lot to help Zongo communities across the country so that they can also be included in the development. We've completed over 200 projects, we've sent scholarships and so on. We have we have a request from the Zongo community. They say they want Hajj slots. So but as we have put in our manifesto, we are going to promote not only the Hajj, but we'll promote the pilgrimage to Israel as well for the Christian community. So I'm going to say to the Imam that next Hajj, inshallah, they will have 2 slots for them, and also 2 slots for the Christian community of 2 people to go to Israel, and we will do that. We'll work with Jaja here.
The Paramount Chief of Peki Traditional Area has also lauded the NPP flag bearer Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and government for setting up one of the Agenda 111 hospitals in his community. He was, however, worried that the NPP government has not communicated its policies and achievement enough to convert votes to win the elections.
We have far more pupils being produced by the basic schools than the higher institutions can take. So it is my humble request that we expand the existing secondary schools. If possible, upgrade the Peking Secondary School into one of the STEM institutions so that it can also take care of the area where we have so many junior high schools, so many senior high schools. We have one in Bele, we have one in Tongo, and we have a TVET school also in Parliamentary.
Let's say a bit further on this, and my colleague Daniel Opoko, who is with the Vice President's campaign team, is joining us right now on the tour. And Daniel, what more can you tell us about what the Vice President, in fact the flag bearer of the MPP, has been saying?
Right, so good evening to you, Alfred. Currently the Vice President is at Afajatu South, where he has been engaging with stakeholders. Don't talk about stakeholders, talk about the clergy, also talk about traditional leaders, and also talk about the community and opinion leaders. Currently, he has finished telling them what, in case he wins power, what will be rolling out when he comes to power. He has emphasized on a credit scoring system. He has also emphasized on agriculture as the bedrock of his policy. Also talked about digital solutions and also providing jobs and skills for the youth in case he wins power. And most importantly, helping the community in this area to resolve a lot of their challenges, their problems with their roads. Also complain about problem about tourism, where they believe that they are not attracting the needed tourism. So Vice President has really renewed his commitment to them. That in case he wins power, they will help to promote tourism in the country. Basically, that's why we say right from here, to be moving towards home, where we are engaging another batch of stakeholders to inform them and also sell his ideas to them. That for them to buy into those ideas, when he wins power, he'll be able to roll out those policies. They need about to strengthen the whole system, also digital solutions, providing jobs are all on the table of the Vice President is selling the constituents in the Afajatu and also moving to the whole area. Let's not forget that these areas are purely the strongholds of the NDC. And basically you realize that the Vice President has been able to receive the necessary rousing welcome when he came to Afajatu, another adjoining community that he went since morning till now. He has really received the necessary rousing welcome and really people are buying to the ideas that he's telling them.
Thank you so much. And Daniel Opoko, appreciate you as always. And he's moving every step of the way with the Vice President, the flag bearer of the MPP's campaign team. Let's still stay a bit further on your election command center campaign trail. And the NDC parliamentary candidate for the Amenfi Central constituency, Joanna Jan Kojo, vowed to prioritize the responsible mining practice in her constituency. At Kwobo electoral area rally, she pledged to educate and train local geologists to ensure environmentally friendly mining methods. And Pakojo Peters is there with her. And what's been the reaction of the people to this promise made by Joanna Jan Kojo in a very interesting constituency, Amenfi Central, for the NDC?
Yeah, Alfred, I must say the directive by the Electoral Commission has really, in one way or the other, affected the constituent, actually the supporters of Joanna Jan Kojo in Amenfi East. Yesterday, when I spoke to them, they told me that they don't know the stance of their candidate. So actually, Joanna was there to somehow cheer them up and also urge them on that she believes after all is said and done, she will emerge victorious. So they are hopeful that what their officials or executives are doing will bring up something good. But aside that, the move has really affected them because they don't know whether their candidate is indeed contesting or not. So she went there to actually encourage them that she believes she will emerge victorious.
Thank you so much, Pakwesi, for this one and the updates and what's happening in the Memphis Central constituency. This is your election command center. And this is Campaign Trail. And we go straight to the PNC because there's a lot that's happened today with respect to their quest to be restored on the ballot paper. The flag bearer of the PNC, Bernard Mona, says he will petition the Supreme Court following the High Court's decision to uphold the Electoral Commission's decision to disqualify him from contesting a 2024 presidential election. Mr. Mona, who was seeking to overturn his disqualification, failed to convince the High Court judge that the Electoral Commission, that's the management body, erred in its decision to disqualify him. He told journalists he disagrees with the judge's ruling and will also seek the Supreme Court's review on the matter. And the chairman, the national chairman of the People's National Convention, PNC, is joining us in the studio. Samson Asaki Awingobit. Honorable, I thank you so much for joining us and good evening.
Good evening, Alfred.
This certainly must come as a blow to you, is it not?
It's a very setback, very hard times for me as a new national chairman of my party and my leader and the whole entirely political party of the PNC. We didn't come to leadership to joke. We strongly believe that I had a very good candidate that I was going to market him into the Ghanaian people. And then the leadership would have supported me as a national chairman to market our presidential candidate. And the Ghanaians would have voted for us to form the next government, knowing that the PNC, before PNC was PMP, we have formed government before, and we know what Limam in his blessed memory did for Ghana within 2 years in office, bought 2 vessels for the Ghana government, and plane and so many things. We know what Limam did for this country. It is unfortunate that at this point in time we have a very young, dynamic team that took over the leadership of the party. And as part of completion of the form, the EC says that we had some errors and omissions, and based on that, they disqualified my candidate for that matter by essence the party. We took it. We said, okay, we are a very law-abiding citizens. We are a very responsible political party. We will not say our rank and files will come out with sticks and cutlasses and stones to go and crucify the EC chairperson and her deputies, no, or the EC officers, no. We said, as a responsible citizens, we need to go to court, to the law court. We have presented the facts. We have presented the reason why we think that the EC should not disqualify us and that the High Court should direct the EC to restore us back to the ballot. Unfortunately, the main substantive that we took to court, the judge rather rely on the EC letter stating that they wrote to us to correct the errors, and we did not correct the errors, and we brought the same thing back, which is not true. Because I know that even though we filed the last day, the 13th, a letter was written the 13th, identifying some pages, about 7 pages, and we got the hint on the 14th morning. We made our team to go for the forms. They did the corrections and sent it same back. As to the document the EC sent to the court, because last Wednesday the judge asked the EC lawyer to bring the album for him to see the things that the EC was raising. Because one of the relief the EC raised was that there were some signatures about 4 candidates that supported. When I say 4 candidates, I mean, when you pick the nomination form of a president candidate, you have to go around the 216 districts for them to endorse 2 precisely from each district. And so they realized that there was one signature that ran across about 4 candidates. And they strongly believe that it is criminal, and it was brought on criminality. They stand on that to disqualify us. Unfortunately, the EC communicating to us did not state that there was signature issues. The EC said there were several errors and omissions.
So your contention is that they were not specific.
Yes, in the press conference, the EC also stated that there were errors and omissions, and some candidates that supported the presidential candidate, we moved them from one district to another. I'm sure you heard the press conference by the EC chairperson. But in court, they introduced different things as to whether what we corrected and presented was an album that it was brought or not. And so it's left unto us to go for appeal or seek for review, which my candidate said will go for an appeal. As a national chairman, I've called that we need to have a FEC meeting, functional executive meeting, then we'll decide where to go from there. And so tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., the party will be holding a functional executive meeting to discuss the issue. And we've also asked the lawyers to call for the certified copy of the judgment. Even though we respect the judgment, we disagree with the judgment. And we want them to study it and advise us, are we to go for review or we need to seek for appeal. Appeal will take a longer time. Review could be shorter.
Bearing in mind that we have about 46 days or about to this election.
It doesn't matter. In 2016, there were 10 days to election. The PPP and the PNC that was disqualified were added. I have a very vibrant candidate who is known by all, and as we speak now with this, even this case alone in question, has also marketed my presidential candidate and the party as well. Even though it's the reportage there is negative, we didn't like it, that we wanted more of the positive reportage. However, we are, just like the EC said, they were human beings and they are bound to make errors. We are also human beings and we are bound to make errors. We can always say that we never break down because of the judgment today. We are still confident and we believe that the respected judge did not rely on the things that we sent to court, and rather focus on the EC than us. And I think that the judge is a middle person. He should be a referee. He should listen to both of us, listen to us, listen to the EC. I've been to court before, and I see that sometimes the judge or the lawyer will bring you a document and say, look at this, Alfred. Do you know this person? Do you know this document? Tell us what you see in this document. Is that not it? True. One of the cases that happened at Supreme Court during 2012 election, 2013, and 2020 elections in court, they show people, they show witnesses, they show accused persons, said, this is the document, take it, look at it, tell us what you see in it. The respected judge asked the EC to bring the document that the EC is using against us to disqualify us to his court. It was Wednesday. They said by 2 hours' time they were going to bring it. As we speak, I did not see that document. The judge did not show those documents to us. And the guy said he used his eyes to watch the document, and the signature looks same. As to whether the judge is a signature expert, I do not know. I also see situations where you go to court and the judge will say, okay, on this issue, we need an expert advice. So the judge has the right and the opportunity to say, I'm calling or I'm appointing a signature expert, a forensic expert, to look into this and come and advise the judge. That did not happen. But he's relying merely on what the EC presented to say, he who wants equity must come with clean hands, and that we should have been meticulous because my president candidate is aspiring to become the president of the Republic of Ghana.
Well, he made the point that you've been filling forms since 2012, so you should know. So
this is, going forward, this is an eye-opener. But your listeners will know that true and true, if you go to court, sometimes we are not talking about authenticity of signature. You have supposed to show it to me, isn't it? For me to add, to see whether... And then the EC also failed to, or the judge also failed to press on the EC to say, okay, bring the 2 nomination form. The PNC submitted a form to you on the 13th, is that not it? Mm-hmm. That you identified the errors, and you have written to others to do the correction. The PNC came back on the 14th with another correction version. Bring the 2, then we'll know which one you are talking about.
Because,
that didn't happen to us.
Because you indicated they were not specific from the onset. There was a question from one of our viewers on Facebook. Cornelius says, I want to find out if the PNC is fielding any parliamentary candidates for this election.
We have 26 parliamentary candidates that we filed. I heard EC have disqualified some people because of their having submitted certain documents, certain required documents, but many of them, the things went through. I don't have the number now, but if you want it tomorrow, I can finish with you after the first meeting. I can finish with you about how many of our parliamentary candidates went through. But I know Great Ayawaso, domain area. What's the constituency name?
That's Dom Kwabinya.
Dom Kwabinya constituency went through. I know of. I think Nalergo. I've seen Nalergo went through. I think Tanlisi went through. I think Bulisa Saf or Bulisa North. Bulisa Saf went to Azong, former Azong constituency. Went through. There's a couple of constituencies that went through, and we have so yes, we have some parliament candidates that are going.
On this matter of the disqualification, your meeting, Finance Executive Committee is meeting tomorrow.
Yes.
You as chairman has called for that
as
meeting.
As the chairman, yes, I've called for
to
that meeting.
Determine what the next step will be.
Yes.
Well, certainly will be there. It's going to be at your party headquarters.
It's going to be at our party headquarters, above at 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Will be there. That's the national chairman of the PNC.
Let me use this opportunity to appeal to all the rank and file of our party, and that they should not be demoralized. I know this has come. It's a very huge case on us. It's a setback on us and the party. But a fighter will never rest. We continue to fight till we get our rights being restored to us. This is an infringement of our right. The EC knew very well that even before you even disqualify us, they needed to even have an audience with us to discuss with us before even going ahead to do this announcement. That didn't happen, and we think that we will fight it till we get our right being restored to us.
Samson Asaki Awengobe, national chairman of the People's National Convention, PNC. Earlier today, their flag bearer, Bernard Mones' case against the Electoral Commission was thrown out. They are not relenting. They are going to have a Finance Executive Committee meeting tomorrow to determine what the next step would be. That's how we end campaign trail here on your Election Command Center. I want to say thank you so much. Join me at 10 p.m. today on TV3 for Ghana Tonight. I am Alfred Ocansey. On behalf of the rest of the team, do have a great evening.